Hang on. It's not yet started. The recording is not yet starting. Just give me a minute. Okay. All right, guys, welcome back to week 3 summary class. And until week 3 summary class, I would like to understand if you have any questions that I can answer for week 1 or week 2. Do you have anything in mind or any confusion whatsoever? Can you just let me know? Like, talking about the dev tools, like Chrome browser dev tools, how to use them, or what is Selenium, or what is Chrome driver, or whatever. Do you have any questions in week number 1 and week number 2 that I can answer? Any questions, Fatima?
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, I have queries regarding the assignments. Like
Okay,
7, I couldn't run them. I'm
okay,
getting some remote web driver, something, some message, some issue.
okay.
I don't know.
Can you show me your problem?
Yeah,
I
I'll just
will
show.
quickly ask you to share your screen. So yeah, Fatima, you can go and show me your screen. I'll stop the share. You can share the screen now. There's a screen sharing button.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
clicked it.
okay, perfect. Now, can you show me what's the problem? What's the question and what's the problem?
Yeah, I'll just open.
Okay.
Okay, when I run this, I'm getting something. See down Chrome remote web. It's stopping. It's not going through.
Yeah, it's don't worry about that. It's just on top of that, it clearly says, right? No such element exception. You guys have to understand what's the exception it is. It clearly
But
says no
okay,
such element exception, which means the element that you are using in this particular
yeah.
web page, you have given an incorrect element, which is why you have that problem.
Okay.
So your
So
element
it
needs to be proper.
okay. So for X part, like the link flights, I was not getting the reference, like to give the
Okay.
like I
Can you
didn't know what to
can you
use.
can you open the page and show me which link you're talking about?
The assignment. I'll just show the assignment
I
first.
mean, no, in the UI, if you just can show me which link it is, then I can show you how
XP,
to fit. Yeah.
yeah, Expedia.com.
Can you go
And
there? Can you
yeah,
go there? Just open up a new tab and open up.
no, I'm not able to see the tab.
No, open up the new tab. Add. Click on the plus icon here, and then say Expedia. Okay. Yeah, it's there. Just hit enter. Okay.
And
Okay.
first thing, like the title, just to how to verify the title, because I was not getting that as well. Like,
The method of the title is get title. The method is called get title, and it will tell you the title of this particular page. Like if you are right now hovering, just give me a minute. I'm going to request the remote control. Can you just accept that? Okay. So now if you click on, if you just hover your mouse on top of this particular tab, it clearly
yeah,
shows the title: Expedia
yeah,
Travels, Vacation Home, whatever, right? That is the title. Okay. You
yeah.
can you can you can easily get the title by the simple call, which is driver dot get title.
Okay. So how will I know that all these methods like get, keyboard, and all like
You have to so in this whole 4-month series, we will be covering the mostly commonly used methods. On
okay,
top of that, whatever the methods that you probably need, for example, if you are having a requirement to verify the title of the page, then you can just go and do a sim. Guys, in development world, it is absolutely impossible to survive without understanding the fact that you cannot learn or you cannot remember and memorize every other method in the world. you're just right now dealing with only one single jar file or a API, which is Selenium WebDriver. In future, we will be learning n number of other jar files, and each and every jar file or each and every API will have n number of methods, which is absolutely not possible to remember. What you have to do is you have to Google. That is the only way every developer in this world survives. It's not possible. And then once you start using the methods of any particular API, it kind of sits in your muscle memory or in your memory, and then you just don't need to Google it anymore. But at the initial stage when you're learning it, you have to use Google as your only knowledge base. I'm going to support you at every other section, but then if you have a specific requirement, you have to rely on Google. So it's a 2-second job. How to
Yeah.
how to get title with WebDriver. How easy that is. How to get title with WebDriver. You see n number of blocks there. Get page title with Selenium WebDriver. Look at the first link. What does it says? It says driver.getTitle, and you use that. How hard is it? It just takes 2 seconds to figure out what's the right method you would like to call. And do not, I insist that do not wait for me to show you each and every method. It is your learning curve, and it's you. I will be showing you how to take the next step for sure, but you need to be proactive. You cannot wait whole week to come and then you ask me the question in the weekend. That is how you will not be able to progress. You have to be proactive. You have a thought in your mind, you go and Google it. Anything that you have in your mind, you can go and Google it. In terms of programming, there are hundreds and thousands of blogs and solutions available. Look into it, read it, and then figure it out, and then try it. Just not figure it out, but try it in your system, and then see what exactly output you're getting. And that's how everybody learns. That's how I learned. That's how everybody learns. So so rely on that, please. Okay, now just show me which element in this page was giving you the exception. Can you show me that?
Here, flights. I clicked on flights,
Okay.
and then I wanted to get anchor like click, so it was not coming.
Why will you
First
get it?
is,
So you no, no, wait a minute. So you have already clicked on flights, right?
yeah,
So how did you make the click on flight if you have not got the
I
anchor
have
of flight?
its reference I had done here. See, so it didn't go there.
So we need to debug, right? We need to understand how to debug, right?
I
So
clicked it, but it was not going further only.
let's see. I'm putting a breakpoint line number 15, and this is your line assignment number
Yeah,
7, right?
yeah, yeah,
So debug as Java application. Your Chrome driver is starting perfectly fine, and you will sit or it will pause your execution at that particular line that's in here, right? Now,
yeah,
if this element actually exists or not, I have probably shown this to you. If this element is existing or not, how will you know it? You
yeah.
select
I had
this,
checked it. Okay,
you will select this whole thing. No, at runtime, how will you know it?
okay.
You select this, you say watch, that brings up this guy over here. So you can just remove other expressions that you have. I'm removing every other expression that I don't need right now. Uh, so I removed every other expression that don't need right now, and I have only this guy. And how will I know whether this is actually working or not? So you can see that it is giving you some ID. If this element is not found, then it will throw you with some exception. But it's not. It is giving you some ID. And how will you know that actually the click will happen or not? So just keep this guy aside in this particular section of your uh, watch window. You can just say dot click. You see, just
Yeah,
say dot click, and you say hit enter. If your link is right, then it should perform the operation, and it did.
yeah.
Then where is the exception?
But it's not completing. It's not giving me any output. Like the, it's not going further and not giving me anything.
What will you, wait a minute, you're clicking on the link, right? What
Yeah,
output you're expecting?
the down, like I'm verifying more things down, so I'm not getting, or maybe something else is wrong there.
How are you verifying it? You're just doing a send keys, which is empty.
Yeah, so I have to check the error messages,
What messages?
the flight, this leaving from and going to, whether the I
You're
have to
living
verify
from
whether.
and you're living from and going to is empty.
Yeah, so
That's
if it is empty, it is giving me the error messages like your origin, please enter the origin and the destination.
correct. Yes, it should give you
Yeah,
the
so that I
messages.
need to verify.
Okay. Yeah, you have to verify. So you are in this page. You have to go one level down at a time, and then you can verify it. What's the big deal in that? So just go one level down
Doing
at a
that.
time. I'm here. I'm entering the text. Okay. You have a problem there, right there, because you are the button. Wait a minute. Send keys. This element is a button. How are you doing a send keys on a button? It's a button you're saying. How are you doing a send keys on a button? You have to do a send keys on this element, right? This
Yeah,
is
it's a
from or
text. Okay, so it's an input.
it's not input. You have to see what exactly it is, right?
But over there, I'm not getting anything other than that.
It's impossible, Fatima. It's impossible that you are not getting it. I'm doing it in front of you. Okay. So it's a button right now. What you can do is to get the button on, you have to perform a click on it because it's a button. So you perform a click on it and then you get another window like this. So when you are creating an automation test, you first will get it done manually. First, you have to do it manually and figure it out what are the steps involved, right? Manually, I can see that I come to the flight tab and I click on the living from, and living from is not an input box because first and foremost, the XPath clearly shows that it's a button because you click on it and then you get a drop-down window, not a drop-down window, but a separate overlay where you have to write, this is your input box.
Okay, okay, okay.
So
And
ideally to validate this particular message, you don't have to do anything, which means if I just go down here and if I just comment out this page, this line, as well as this line, if I comment out this line and this line where you are actually sending keys to a button, which doesn't make sense at all, you can only perform a click on a button. Okay.
no, yeah,
So
yeah.
you're doing that wrong. And then you have to click on this particular guy, which is your submit button click, which is perfect. And then you are supposed to get the result over here. So I don't know if that XPath is right or wrong. I will quickly run this anyways. Let's trigger this execution. Assignment number 7. I'll just debug this. When you're writing automation tests, the first thing is you need to analyze that step. How will you analyze it? You will analyze it manually. Yeah, you got that, right?
Yeah,
Did it fail? No, right?
no,
Exactly. Now the result over here, it says, please select an origin. That's your error. And then
yeah,
in the result one is please select a destination, which is your error 2. Perfectly fine. If result equals please select an origin and please select a direction, then you want to say a test passed. So let's run this. And your test is passed.
okay.
What's the big deal in that? You have to spend time, Fatima. Everybody, not Fatima only. You have to spend time, analyze each and every step. Programming is not like, something that I can just give you as a tablet and you can have it. You
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah,
spend, you understand, right? You have to
yeah.
spend time. You have to analyze, first and foremost, you have to analyze the steps manually, one by one by one, and then you are going to get the result. and then you have to debug and then figure it out what's the problem. First and foremost, you have to understand that it's a button. If it's a button, then I cannot perform a send keys on it. And then if it's a button, I cannot perform a send keys on it, so I have to perform a click. So let's do a click, and if I click on it, I get another window, and that's where I enter things.
Okay, yeah.
Got it?
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you. Yeah.
no problem. Anyone else have the similar kind of questions that I can answer? Joanna, please go on. You have a question? Do you have a question, Joanna?
Right. This is more of a general question, but when I was working on the assignments, for some reason, there was a couple of classes that wouldn't run for me. I wasn't even getting errors from the IDE or anything, which I thought was very unusual. And when I went to run as Java application, I got none applicable in the dropdown instead. I didn't have time to properly investigate it, but I just thought I'd ask, like, why would that happen in
No
general?
problem. You can share the screen. Let me have a look.
I actually don't. I think I deleted them since because I needed some other code to run for me. But like I said, it's just a general question. So I just thought I'd ask under what circumstances would something like that happen, that it wouldn't even compile the code or give me errors for the code to indicate a problem.
But how did you know if there is no error?
Well, there was no, like, it wouldn't even compile. So there wasn't anything coming up in the console to say there was any exceptions. When I went to run as in the dropdown, there was no option to run it as a Java application. It just said,
Yeah, because I know what you did. You didn't added a main method in it. So for example, this would be the case. So for example, if I have a class, maybe somewhere here, new class, and I say test me, and I say finish, and I create a method. I create a method, say public. Just a second. So in here, if I say public void, say test my method, and this is a simple method, whatever it is, never mind. I want to run this test. I cannot run this test just like this because I don't see run as main method. You see that? You will not get it if you don't have a main method. Your triggering point should be always, there is no compilation error, obviously, but you cannot run this class on its own unless you trigger this class from another class as in like you create an object of test me, and then you call this method from where your test case is actually getting triggered or your program is getting triggered. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that might have been the issue actually. Okay. Yeah, I'll investigate that. Thanks.
Perfect. No problem. Okay. Anyone else? Emmanuel, I know you were catching up things. So do you have any questions for me that I can help? You have to unmute. Yeah, I've asked to unmute. Yeah, go on.
No, I've got none at the moment.
Sorry?
I've got none at the moment.
You have not started the classes yet, yeah?
Not yet.
Okay, so are these things that I'm right now talking about, are they completely like new to you and you're not understanding it, or how it is?
No, not that. I'm not just taking my time to start because I was going to actually speak to you after this class. I was going to send you a message. And,
Okay, all right, no problem. That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. So guys, I just want to tell you one thing, that is, if you're coming to the class, I am expecting few things. That is, be on the class, what I mean by that is, if you're coming to the class, concentrate on what I'm talking about and what I'm teaching. To keep yourself isolated in a room, concentrate on what I'm teaching, because it's a time that you are spending with me. And if you're absolutely interested, then I think it should be a proper way to learn this. So please keep yourself isolated for this 2.5 hours, right? Matthew is good. Susan, are you okay with it? Do you have any questions? Nashwa, do you have any questions? Sindhu, Syed, do you have any questions?
No, sir. Sir, no, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Good stuff. Okay. So then let's try and see what we can take up in week number 3. So in week number 3, I have spoken about things like conditional statement, okay, inheritance and runtime polymorphism, constructors, and how to use introduction. That is what we have covered in this particular week number 3. So let's go and see what we have. What do we have here? Let's talk about the first concept, which is if-else and nested if-else. Well, it is a very simple conditional property that is available everywhere in every programming language. What do we need? We need a if-else situation. I mean, there will be many situations where you need to deal with if-else. What do I mean by that? For example, as you can see here, that I'm trying to verify the situation where out of these 3 numbers, which one is the greatest? Okay, so I can say if A is greater than B, if B is greater than C, or else if C is greater than A, then I can say which one is greatest, right? So this is basically a nested if-else statement. So how does it work? I have already explained this in the video. Please go through the video and you will get to know what I'm trying to talk about here. So if A is greater than B, you see, if A is greater than B, that means the first condition is getting checked. If the first condition is positive, or if it is true, only then the execution will go inside this particular section. Okay. If it is false, then the second condition will be checked. That is, if B is greater than C. If that is false, then the third condition will be called by default, which is the else part, and then I will be printing C is greater than B, right? C is greater than B, and that's how things do work, which means in if-else statement, if you can understand, each and every section gets validated separately. So if something is not right here, then the second thing gets validated. If something is not right here, then the third thing is getting validated, so on and so forth, right? If the first instance itself is right, then I will be printing out this particular statement because the execution will go here, and none of the other things will be even considered, right? That is what is a if-else statement. All right. Many people ask me the question, if there is a if statement, like if greater than A greater than B, right? If A greater than B, many people ask me the question, if I'm writing a if statement, do I have to write a else part to it as well? No, you don't. You don't. Else is something there to kind of make sure that when your if part is false, when your if part is false, then the else part should be executed. When the if part is false, then the else part should be executed. I have a question that I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask this question to Eric. So Eric, just tell me this. if I'm writing if A greater than B, and then I'm writing int A equals 5, comma, colon, int B equals 3. B equals 3. And I have a printout here, sysout true. And here as well, a printout sysout true, right? I would like to understand what will be the output in the console when this program runs. Can someone tell me what will be the output?
True.
Properly give me the output. Eric, what do you think?
It's a syntax error, sorry. Because
Why?
system, the
Yeah,
syntax
that is a short form of syso, right? It's not a syntax error. Syso is the short form of system.out.println. It's not a syntax error. I don't have space to write system.out.println, so I written it like this.
output will be true.
Output will be true. Sindhu is saying output will be true. Eric, what do you think? It will be true. Okay. Who else have understood this question? Emmanuel, what will be the output of this? Emmanuel, what will be the output of this? Okay. The answer will be true. Why it is like that? Just one true only. No, Susan. No. The answer will be true. And can you tell me why it will be true? Emmanuel, can you please, if you're in the class, I'm requesting you that you can keep yourself isolated, because if I'm unmuting you, there are a lot of background noise coming from your side. So if you are in the class and if you want to answer something, please mute yourself and then answer me. I mean, in the background, mute the voice and then answer me. It goes for everyone, please. When you're giving me 2.5 hours in the week, I want the 2.5 hours, because otherwise I will not be able to help you. If you are absolutely serious about this program, be in this program. If you're not serious, then it's okay. But if you're serious in this program, then please be in this program. I don't like that, when I'm teaching something and my student is like in a space where there are, background noise and there are like someone talking. I'm pretty sure that is not an ideal way of teaching or studying, right? So this 2.5 hours, please give it to me. It's for your own good, because we have 4 months time and we have plenty of things to learn. If you want to get into the automation industry, then this 4 months is very crucial for you as well as for me. My July batch students got a job. My May month batch students are getting a job. They have got job. My September months are preparing for the job interviews. I want you guys to be in that list as well. So please be serious if you want to be in this program. Now the question is that the answer to this solution or this particular question is that it is true and true. Why it is true and true?
There's no else like to say.
Exactly.
to say print sys. So like it'll just print out sys out true again because
Exactly.
there's no condition. It's validating that A is greater than B, and then it's just the second sys out is just a random line of code, if you like. It's just
No, I would say it's not a random line of code, but the right way to say it is that this line of code is going to run at anyways. It is not depending on this particular condition. It is not depending on this line of code is going to execute anyways. Because this condition is true, A is equals to 5, B is equals to 3. Because this condition is true, that's the reason I am able to print out true from within the if condition. But this line is going to be printing anyways. So that's the reason why the output will be true. So which means the if statement is not dependent on a else statement. If block can be on its own. If block can be on its own, but a else block cannot be on its own. You cannot just write else. You cannot. It's a syntax error. You will not be able to compile the code. So else part cannot be on its own. If part can be on its own. Right? So that's what I wanted to show. Correct? Okay. Now let's go on to the next part, which is switch case. What is switch case? Switch case is a situation where you are again going to work in terms of conditions, but now with the switch case statement, it is little faster. I mean, there are pros and cons of switch case and if else, and there are situations where you want to use switch case and not if else. So I'll give you the situation in a while, but for now, just try and understand that in switch case, things are happening much faster when you are comparing just one condition. For example, look at the situation that I'm trying to show here. I'm saying job title equals software engineer, perfectly fine. And I'm saying switch case, in this particular section, in the switch case, I'm saying job title dot to lowercase. Lowercase means that you are keeping everything in the you're converting everything in the lowercase format. However, this lowercase right here is not really helping me. I mean, this is a syntax error in this particular case. Not a syntax error, but this method, this whole thing will not even run because I have said job title dot to lowercase, which will shift all these characters to the lowercase format. However, in the case situation, I'm not keeping any of these case statements in the lowercase. So what exactly I'm trying to do with the lowercase is that I'm trying to match the value that I'm sending over here in the switch statement with all the case statements. Let me try to put this in the code. Probably it will make more sense. I'll go and I'll open up my week 3 new Java project. Java week 3 summary. Don't create. I'll say test Java. And here I say new class. And this is my, I'll just go for a normal test main or test switch. Okay, test switch with the main method I'm writing because I want to trigger my test from here. Good. Now what do I need? I need to understand what is a switch case statement. Switch case, right? What exactly it is? I'm just writing a simple string, for example, name. And the name is, I'll give Savik. Okay. And this name that I have given Sovic, now I'm going to write a switch case statement, something like this. I say switch name dot to lowercase. Why am I doing to lowercase? I will explain in a minute. And then in the case statement, I'm giving the names in lowercase, Sovic, colon, other different cases. I'll say Ryan. I'll say Fatima. I'll say Eric. Correct? What I'm trying to do here is switch case to print locations or user locations. Okay. Now name dot to lowercase. Why it is important? Why it is important here is that the variable or the trying to compare is getting pulled or is getting sent by some third-party information, which means that this variable can come to you in the format of, the data in the variable can come to you in the format of all caps or a mixed situation or init caps or all small. You don't have really a control in the switch case that you're writing should be in a situation or should be written in such a way that whatever the case it is for your data, your switch case should give you some output. Your switch case should give you some output, whatever the case you are sending in your data for the particular variable, because switch case is not switch case, but Java is a case sensitive language. There's a difference between SOUVIK and SOUVIK. There's a difference between that. It's a case sensitive language. So which means this section, this block of switch case, right? I have to create a common ground for my cases that I'm trying to evaluate against the data that I'm sending. So for that reason, I have made it to lowercase, because when I made it to lowercase, I also made sure that in my case statement, every other names of my users are also in lowercase. If I am keeping them in this format, it will not be accepted because I have firstly made the data itself as a lowercase. I think everybody got that part. Now, if you're not getting it, let me know. Now, with that, what am I doing? I'm saying case, and then I'm giving some names. My motive is that when I give the name of a user, I want to print the respective user location. So for example, for me, I'll say sysout and say, this is how you do it. You say sysout and then control and space. That gives you system.out.println, right? So now in here, I say, I live in Dublin, Ireland, right? And then similarly, I just copy this whole piece and I'm gonna give information, right? So this is Dublin, Ireland, Fatima is in UK, and Eric is in US, right? This is ideally what I am trying to print when I give the user. I should know the location of that particular user. This is how a switch case statement works. Switch case statement is much faster than if else. Why? Because if you remember in if else, I said I have two numbers, int a equals 5, comma b equals 3, right? That's how I have written two variables, totally fine. And if I say if a greater than b, if a greater than b, then I want to perform something. So sys out test passed, test passed, right? And else failed. Right? Now, if a greater than b, then test pass, else test fail, totally fine. In if else statement, how does it work? As I said, when I'm running if else statement, first and foremost, the condition will be validated. If the condition is true, if a is greater than b, then immediately I will be executing this particular code, and then my execution will come out of this whole block. It will come out of the whole block. In case the first condition is not true, in case the first condition is not true, then I will be running the else part, right? This is what I said in terms of if else. However, in case of switch case, that is not how it works. How it works is I am saying that it is, for example, not Sovik, but for example, it is Eric. Eric. As soon as this value matches to the case Eric, the control of this execution will straight jump to this particular case. Not like if else, where each and every condition gets checked until the right condition comes or right condition becomes true, or if nothing becomes true, then it goes to the else part or it comes out of that if block completely, right? However, in switch case, if this particular condition is, if I am giving the text as Eric, and if there is a case present with the name Eric, then the control will straight come to Eric rather than, it will not go and check each and every case and then come to Eric. No, it will not do that. So from that perspective, switch case is faster than if else, only in a situation like this. Sorry, only situation like this. But in switch case, you cannot write a condition like this. If A is greater than B, I cannot do that. I cannot test any condition. I can just match one single value in this whole list of cases. That is the difference between switch case and if else. You have to understand what to use where. Okay, so I'm getting some question. Let me understand that. What happens if no break? I will give you the break. I will understand the break. I'll talk about the break in a minute. Hold on. So does switch case only work with a string data type, or it can be used with others? Until 1.5, Java version 1.5, it was only allowed till numbers. After I think 1.5 or 1.6, I think, you can use it with string, you can use it with numbers, Boolean, everything. Okay, but Susan, regarding the break, what is a break? So there's a problem with switch case. The problem is, for example, I'm giving the name over here as Ran, and whatever I'm saying, I can prove that to you that exactly that is what happened. So I'm going to put breakpoints. You see, 15. I'm putting breakpoints in all of them. Just a second. Okay, so I'm putting breakpoint in all of them, and then I'm going to start the execution for the switch case, right? So let's try and debug this. How to debug this? Right click on this particular class and say debug as Java application. And as I do it, I am landing in line number 11. I'm landing in line number 11. In line number 11, I am right now validating the name. I'm not validating, but I'm just saying that let me convert this name to the lowercase. Anyway, it is lowercase. That's fine. Now it is Ryan, right? If I go and if I just go to the next step, how can I go to the next step? I can click on this link over here, or this button over here. It's called step over. You see, I'm pointing my mouse on the top left corner. It's called step over. You can even hit F6 in your keyboard, okay, to perform this. So if I just say, if I just hit this, you see, I directly landed in Ryan. I skipped Sovik. I directly landed in Ryan. This is what I was talking about. This is the difference I was talking about in terms of if else and switch case. And now my motive is to just print Dublin, Ireland, because that's where Ryan lives. So that's good. Let me print this out. And it just said Dublin, Ireland, that's fine. But now you see that switch case is so stupid. How to move the control out of the whole switch case block. It doesn't know it on its own. It doesn't know it. So now what it is doing is it's kind of going to each and every case and printing the value, which is not what I want. I am expecting that when I'm giving Ryan, I will be only getting the value as Dublin, Ireland. That's it. I will not be getting the value as value for UK and US and for other users. I don't want that. This is where we need to use break statement. So idea is that for each and every statement, you say break, which means as soon as that particular case is done, break out of that particular switch case block. That is exactly what we are trying to do now. And if you'll see that when I am running it, terminate, when I'm running this, right? And if I go one level down, ran, and then it states comes out, correct? And then I just get only one value. Perfectly fine. This is how this is what the difference between switch case and if else. I hope that is crystal clear now. Let's move on to a very, very important concept called as access specifier. Okay. What is access specifier? In Java, every element that we are dealing with, we can provide access levels to these different elements or these components in the program, right? For example, I told you in the last class that class is for class, there are multiple different class members. I told you a class can have variables. A class can have methods. A class can have constructors. What is constructors? We'll talk about that later in detail, right? So all these guys that I am talking about, these are all my class members. Class member means all these guys are staying within a class, so they're class members. Good stuff. But the point is that all these variables and everything, right? Everything over here can be converted. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, in Java program, you want to highly control that which class member is having what type of access, so that somebody else, some other class out of the main class, will be able to access the element or not, can be controlled with the help of access specifier. Ideally, there are 4 different access specifier we have in Java. They are private, public, default, and protected. Okay, protected. I'm going to talk about first 3 of these guys, and I'll talk about protected after I teach inheritance, right? So how do I exactly understand what is private? Let me quickly give you some example. So I'll just go to this guy. I'll say class, and I'll say test access, and as a main method. This main method is a public method. Just 1 minute. This main method is a public method, okay, which means that anybody can ideally call this particular main method. That's fine. Let's worry about private. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a private variable, which is a variable, and I'm giving the variable as an access modifier called as private. I say int, I say num equals some default value, maybe 100. Good stuff. This value that I have given called num, right? Num. This variable is private in nature, which means that this variable can be accessed by any component. It can be accessed by any component in this particular class, but no one else will be able to access this variable. For example, I can go inside the main method and I can say sysout. I can say num. I can say that this num variable will be accessible over here. Okay, I have to make this static. Don't worry about static right now. Just consider it on the private. What is static? I'll talk about that later on. But right now, think about private. And you see, with the private variable that I've created up here, now can be accessed within the main method. No problem. I can create another method, private or public void, public static void, public static number, get num, something like that, right? And then I can just say sysout num again. I have no problem to access it, which means this variable is absolutely accessible within the class, no problem at all. However, I cannot even see this variable out of this particular class. How can I prove that? In my TestSwitch class, I'm going to create an object of test access class. Test access. I've spoken about objects already. Test access TA equals new test access. By the way, I'm sorry, I don't even do that. Why I don't want to do that? Because I'll tell you later on that when you have any element or any class member that is attached with this keyword called a static, okay, I will tell you about this more in details, but for now just understand that when you have any class member that is attached with this keyword called static, then this keyword, this particular class member, can be directly accessed with the help of the class name itself. That's a Java rule. For example, in TestSwitch class, I can say int num equals test access dot. You see, test access is the actual class. I'm not creating any object of test access class. I'm using this class directly, and I said test access dot, and you see, I'm able to see main method. I'm able to see test switch method, right? But I'm not able to see the num variable. The num variable the num variable is kind of hidden, from the outer world. So if you actually look into this particular guy, you say int num test access dot get num main. I can access them because they are public guys. I can access them, but not a private. So which clearly says that private class members can be accessed only within that class. That is how it proves. Okay, that's number one. That's I just covered up the first one, which is my I covered the first one, which is my private access modifier. Then I have public access modifier. I have also covered that. Public access modifier means that you can access the element from anywhere. From anywhere. You can call another class member, which is a public in nature. You can call them from anywhere and you have no problem in that. Now, to understand default, we have to make some arrangement. For example, I'm going to remove, let me think, keywords, or maybe I can do something. I can create something else. I can, by the way, there is a shortcut. If you want to do duplicate the line in Eclipse, you can hit Control Alt down and it duplicates that line. Okay, it's a shortcut that you can use. So here I'm going to say that I'm going to just take out this part completely. All right, or maybe I can just give static, only static. And I say int, not num, but I say int, not int, but string. String, say, string location. Location is UK, for example, right? Okay, so this guy is location is UK, and I have not ideally given any kind of access modifier to it. I have not given any kind of access modifier to it. If I have not given, if I have not specified, Java will consider this particular variable as a default access modifier. It will consider it as default access modifier if by default you're not providing, if you're not providing any access modifier to it, by default it will be considered as a default access modifier. What is the problem with that? So let's try and go to TestSwitch class. In the TestSwitch class, let me just say string location equals, I just said test access dot, and you can see I am able to get the access to the location class, location variable, correct? And I can do it like this because it is static in nature. I will be able to access this over here. So I can say accessing, I can totally do that. There is no problem in it, right? But what I will do is I will create a new package, new package, and the package name is test Java 2, for example. I have two packages, test Java and test Java 2. I have two packages, perfectly fine. I have this class, test access class, where I have a static default variable. And then in the test switch class, I'm accessing that default variable with the dot operator directly by the class name, because I told you that this element is a static element and static elements can be accessed directly by the class name. So class name dot location, perfectly fine, correct? Now, the point is, it is all working good. Now, what I will do is I will quickly switch, or I will quickly shift the test access class to test Java 2 package. I just dragged and dropped it. As soon as I did that, you see in here I have test access, and now I am getting an error in the test switch class. And what is the error? If I hover on top of the error, it says the field test access dot location is not visible. It is default in nature, right? But still it is saying that it's not visible. Why? Because there is a rule with default elements. That is, if you are using a default element, then all the classes in which you are using default element and from where you are accessing the default element, every one should be under the same package. They should be under the same package. Like I have taken it out, the test access from test Java to test Java 2, and I'm getting the error. If I put it back, the error is gone. Yeah. So this is a rule of default. You can keep default elements, but the elements, the classes where you have those elements, and the class from where you will be accessing those elements, like this guy and this guy, they both should be under the same package. That's with default. So I have covered these first three of them. Now I will be talking about protected, but not yet, because I have to talk about something before that. It's called inheritance. And then I will talk about protected in a while. So let's quickly see what else we have in the list. Java methods. I have given probably some understanding last week as well. What is Java method? Okay, method is a collection of statements that you want to perform over and over again. Method is a collection of statements that you want to perform over and over again in order to receive or in order to get a consistent result out of that block of method. So idea is very simple. The idea is that you want to add, for example, in here, you want to add a number. You want to add number. So I say, okay, I have already int A and int B. I have already int A and int B. Sum equals A plus B. I can do that. And I can say this out. Sum. I can do that very well. No problem in that. Right? So this is basically my simple addition that I'm trying to perform depending on whatever value I'm submitting in. Line number 27, I am printing them over here, which is very simple. I'm trying to add this. Now tomorrow I'm trying to add 9 and 10. 9, 10, and probably C equals 20. Right? Now, what you have to do, you have to immediately come in here and you are then concerned that you have to add C over here to get the actual value. So which means that this statement is something that is, that needs your constant modification. Whenever your requirement changes, you are coming here and you are constantly modifying it, which is weird. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get into a situation where I want to add few numbers, and for that simple situation, I will keep on adding my variables and then getting the result. That's stupidity. Okay, and moreover, for example, I need A plus B plus C over here in line number 38 value. So my values are changed, for example. In line number 44, my values are changed. For example, it is now 19. It is now, it is 10. And this is now 40, for example, right? My value of A, int A, sorry, A, B, and C is changed. And then again, I want to perform the summation. So which means again, I go in here and I will add sum equals A plus B plus C. And I keep on continuing this stupidity forever until I understand what is a method. I want to perform a method. I want to perform some operation. It could be summation, it could be anything. I want to perform some operation. I know, and moreover, just writing just understanding the operation will not be enough. You also have to understand that this operation that I'm writing, do I need over and over again? Do I need to use this operation over and over again? Do I need it? If I need it, only then it makes sense to convert that operation into a method. For example, you're writing some statement and you know that this method, this statement that you've written will be never used. There is no point in writing a method for that. But you know that this statement you are writing can be used by you and by your whole team. Only then you go and you wrap it up in a method, and then you call the method n number of times whenever you want to use them. So with the help of method, I can just simply avoid writing all this crap, and I can quickly go ahead and write my own method to get the summation of n number of variables. There is no limit to it. You can get it, right? I think I've written this code earlier as well, but I'm going to write it again. So I say public. I am going to create this, keep this method public available, public. I want to call this method from a main method. Okay, I'll say public static void, and I say that add nums. As a part of add nums, I have spoken about this particular argument already last time, I believe. It's called var args. Int dot dot dot, give a space and give a nums to it, something like that, right? I have also spoken to you about for loop earlier. So my motive is that I'm in loops earlier. Now my motive is that whatever the values are I'm getting, it's a var args. Var args is a special kind of argument. Var args is a special argument, special argument or parameter, parameter of the method that can accept n number of similar type of data. So here I'm saying I'm trying to access int, multiple n number of int type of data. So I can access it with the help of var args. Okay, so my motive is simple. I'm going to create a simple method here, variable here, int result equals 0. And now in here, I say a for loop. In the for loop, I say int I equals 0, I less than nums dot length. I want to iterate over a period of time, and then I say I plus plus. Okay. Now I have this three guys here. I have this for loop here. My motive is to iterate over all these data that I have here and then get the final result out of it. Equals result plus nums of I. If you have followed my last class where I spoke about arrays and everything, you should be able to understand what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to access all these values that will come to me. It will come to me as an array. So it's a nums array ideally. So I'm trying to access every element in that array one at a time, and then I'm going to add it with the result. And that loop will keep on iterating over and over again until I hit the total number. I will anyway debug and show you. And then finally, I want to sys out the result. Sum colon plus result, right? This is what I want to print. How do I call this guy? I can call this guy just like that from the main method, saying add nums, okay? As a part of add nums, I am now allowed to add n number of integers over here. If you remember the method, if you look at it here as well in the method section, what am I saying? I'm saying that in a method, you can, there are multiple different type of methods that we have. One is method to perform operation, where you don't pass any arguments. You see, I am not passing any argument over here in this bracket, no argument at all. Okay, you're going to perform some operation. You're saying, you see, just add two numbers, and you can see that I have two numbers already there, which is 10 and 20. I have two numbers already there, and I'm saying result equals num plus num1 plus num2, and then the value will be always 30. Whenever you call this method, just add two numbers. It will always result you back with 30, always. Why? Because the data inside it is always 10 and 20. So always you will get the result as 30. On the other hand, there's another method, which is add two numbers by arguments. Here I'm passing int a and int b, and then I'm saying sys out a plus b. You see, I'm adding it, a plus b. So I get the value, I'm getting the summation depending on whatever the parameter I'm submitting over here as an argument or as a parameter. So I'm adding them and I'm getting the result out of it. That's number two. Third thing is also similar to what I am talking about in terms of number two, which is that I'm having one single variable, which is a var args variable. The idea is that I want to pass multiple similar type of information in this. For this kind of situation, var args is absolutely perfect, and I want to get the result of all the values that I'm going to submit. Okay, this is what is method. So now if I just go back to your program, and here if I just say, let me run this, I have to pass on, you see, with var args, the good thing is that even if you don't pass on anything, your var args will never complain. Your method will never be complaining. Var args, you can do anything ideally, right? But you have to, if you're passing the values, it should be always of int type. I'm giving some random values, 30, 23, 45, 67, 89, 76, 32. And I have given n number of values. That's what I'm saying. You can give n number of values. It's not like the other case where you're restricting to only two of them. You can see I'm just adding only two of them, int a and int b. It's not like that. You can add n number of values, okay, with the help of var args, and that's what I did. And now if I just go and if I run this piece, you can see how it will work. I'll put a break on line number 44, and let's run this guy. Okay, I don't need this. Okay, so I'm here in line number 44 now. If you hover your mouse on top of nums, you will see this is the number of numbers that I am receiving inside add nums method. That's good. And then what am I doing? I'm using a for loop. In the for loop, what am I checking? I'm checking, let me run the loop till the nums length. Okay, what is the nums length? If I select this and then say watch, I get the value as 8. Total number of element is 8, but I want to run it till 7 because I told you arrays starts from index number 0 to index number length minus 1. So length is 8, which means it will run till 7. So 0 to 7 is that is where I will start. So let me just see in the first run what exactly happens. I'm in this run. So right now you see nums I is having some value, which is 23, exactly what I'm highlighting here, the first element, 23. What is the value of result? The value of result is 0, perfectly fine. If I just go to the next line, then the result is 23 now, because 0 plus 23 is 23, totally fine. Now I'm going to the next line where 23, that is the result old value, is now getting added with nums of I, which is 45, that is this guy. So 45 plus 23, whatever it is now the value of results, that is 68. So and so forth. The loop will keep on iterating over all the var args parameters, and it will give you the final summation of this program. So if I just put this, take this breakpoint out and resume my execution, I get the result as 485. I get the result as 485, right? So this is exactly what I am trying to show you here in terms of methods. Methods are some statements that you want to create so that you can reuse it over and over again. Now with this one method now in the whole project, n number of time, wherever I have to perform an addition of numbers, I will not have to bother at all. I can just simply call this method and I can perform my addition just like that, correct? This is exactly how the method works. Good stuff. Let's move on to the next part. Understanding inheritance, a very, very important concept. What is inheritance? And I said after inheritance, I will talk about the protected scenario, right? So what is inheritance? Inheritance as the, just one second. Okay, so inheritance as the keyword talks about inheritance, the English meaning of inheritance is inheriting properties from your parent or from your grandparent. This is what inheritance means. And that is exactly what it meant in case of Java as well, right? I'm trying to get the property of my parent. What is the benefit of that? The benefit is that you don't really need to bother about creating the property of something which is already given to you by your parent. What exactly I'm trying to say is that I have a car. I'm going to talk about test Java 2. I'm creating a class called a car class, right? In the car class, I have some properties. I'm going to make them private. The variables, I'm going to make them private. So private string brand, private string model, private int, or engine, private float or double engine, right? These are my three different private variables that are going to store the data that are needed for my car. Perfectly fine. I'm going to create some methods for it. Okay, the methods that will help me to set some value inside this car class. That's cool. What can I do? I can simply say setters and getters. So I'll copy this and I'll say source, generate getters and setters, and I'll put check for all of them. I say generate, and I say so I have the three guys, and I'm creating some methods here. get brand, set brand, get model, set model, get engine, set engine. What does it mean? It means these are variables, which are private variables, which means somebody has to take the responsibility to set the data inside these variables, because these are the guys who are going to hold the data, right? So you have to set some, you have to find some option to add the data inside these variables. That's good. Now with that in mind, set engine, set model, and set brand, these three different variables, these three different methods that I have are now going to help me to set the value inside all these three variables. It's going to help me to set all of these three inside this particular three variables. Similarly, I have get brand, get model, and get engine that will retrieve the data so that I can show it to somebody else, right? Good stuff. I'm going to create another class here, and I'm going to create the class named as Audi. Okay, Audi is a car. Audi is a car, and then I have a car class, right? Now, because car class is having already these three guys, and just not three guys, I have all these other guys as well. I can actually I can leverage this class as my super class or my parent class. And I can say Audi extends car. I can say that. As soon as I say that, what will happen? Whatever I have within car is now can be accessed by Audi as well. On top of that, Audi can create their own method. So public void. So I say the value as so for example, okay, I'm going to create a variable up here. I said an int as a private int speed. Okay, and I'm going to create a method up here which is set speed, get speed, which are only added to the Audi. It is not a part of the car class. Totally fine. Or maybe set speed, set max speed, get max speed, something like that. Good stuff. So you just saw what I did. I creating a class car and then creating another class over here. So I have a car class, I have an Audi class, and then I can use the help of inheritance. With the help of inheritance, I can inherit the properties of car to the Audi. This type of inheritance is called as single inheritance, single level inheritance, single level inheritance. Perfect. That's with that. Now, how can I use it? How can I use it is I can go ahead and I can create another class. The class is going to be a main class because I told you that to run a Java program, you need a runner class. The runner class will run the program. So the main method, the class with the main method is a runner class. This is the main method, perfectly fine. With that in mind, now I can go ahead and I can create a class of Audi. An object of Audi equals new Audi. And now that I have Audi equals new Audi, now if I just say Audi dot set brand, how am I able to access set brand? Set brand was not a part of Audi, right? It was a part of car class, but I'm able to access it. Why? because I am able to inherit to the car class with the extends keyword. So I say Audi, that's my brand. Then I have Audi dot. I have stuff like get engine, set model. Set model, let's do that. So A3 dot set engine, say 2.2. And I have Audi dot set speed. Set max speed is a part of Audi class, not the car class, but I can access it as well. So I can say set max speed equals maybe 200, right? Now, this was possible because I used Audi as a subclass and car as a superclass. This is exactly is called as inheritance. This is what you call it as inheritance. And if I want to print them, I can say sysout and then just print them accordingly. Audi.getBrand plus .getModel plus Audi.getMaxSpeed. For example, I just want to get all these three guys right now, right? So I will just go ahead and run this piece of code, run as Java application, and you get the values up here, right? This is basically single level inheritance, what I have just explained to you. Okay, now that we can, so first and foremost, clear my drawing. What are other inheritance that we can talk about? So one is single level inheritance, which I just showed you. Another one is called multi-level inheritance. Why it is multi-level, guys? Because I have three different classes here. One is a grandparent, one is a parent, and then it's a child. What does it mean? The properties of grandparent will be inherited to the parent, and the properties of parent will be inherited to the child. So which means that whatever the properties of class A is can be found in class C. It's called multi-level inheritance. And there's another inheritance which is also possible, which is hierarchical inheritance, which means I have two classes, class B and class C, and both of them are inheriting to class A, like this way. If I just clear my drawing and go back to my code, and if I just show you that I can create another class called as Mazda, right? And just say finish, and then I say car. Can I do it? I can. So what am I doing? I'm extending Mazda to car, right? Now with that in place, now I have all the properties of car that I can have it for Mazda. So which means that I can easily go back to my test cars like I set up for Audi. I can set up for Mazda as well. So I just say Mazda equals new Mazda, right? And then all I do is Mazda.set model, Mazda.set brand, which is Mazda, and then whatever, Mazda. And this is your Mazda 6, for example. 6 engine is 2.2. There is no set max speed available for Mazda. There is no, yeah, obviously. As I said, right, Fatima, that class A is extended by class B, and class B is extended by class C. So obviously, you have to, I mean, if you want to create an inheritance relationship, it has to be extends always.
So I have
right?
to give extend in two classes.
Yeah, you will say in class C, you will say class C extends B, okay? And then in class
Okay.
B, you will say class B extends A, right?
Okay. Okay.
Class C extends B and class B extends A, so that you can create the relationship so that the properties of class A can be channelized to class C, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like,
Good.
quick question.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me? Oh, okay, yeah. So, just for my understanding, if it's correct or not, I just want to check. So, if you have three classes, A, B, C, and I am extending in B, I mean, I have created class A and called the get setters, and in the B, I'm extending from A, and in C as well, I'm extending from B, right?
Mm-hmm.
And apart from these three, I am creating another class that is my main class, and I am creating object of B and C. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
Is this
Okay.
is that the steps, right, that we need
Yeah.
to?
Yeah.
Because a bit and I mean confusion for me.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, why you're confused? So just see, I have the main class. I have the top class. Let's things, right? So I'll draw things, so that you can understand. So you have a car class, which is in the top of the chain. So this is a car class with all the properties of brand, model, and engine. That's fine. And then I have two different class here, which is my Audi and Mazda. Audi and Mazda. And both of them are extending from car. The properties of car is extended to Audi and Mazda. Now to run this whole engagement, how would you run this whole engagement? Because this whole engagement, you don't have any main method. There is no main method anywhere in this whole hierarchical combination which I just showed you. There is no main method anywhere. So how will you run this whole setup? You can run the setup with a main method or a main class, which is your main. So I just named it as test cars. Okay. This test cars that I have created is now working as a main method. I mean, a main method keeper. Okay. So I have a main method over here. In the main method over here, then I can create the object of Mazda. I can create the object of Audi or whatsoever, right? I can do all of it, and I can test my whole combination that I have just shown you above inside the test cars, which is my runner of this program. So you have to write some program, and then you have to figure it out. How can you run that program? So writing was done in the upper section, which is this portion, and running is done in the bottom section, which is this section. Is this clear?
yeah, thanks.
There's always two different sections, right? Good stuff. I'm not hearing any doubt from rest of the team, like Eric, like Joanna, Sindhu, Syed. Are you guys all good? Can class C can call methods of both class B and class A? Because yeah, that is right. Yes, because they are inherited, right? They can do it, Matthew. That's right. I'm not hearing questions from Rest, Eric, Emmanuel, Sindhu, Nashwa. I'm not hearing any questions from you guys. Are you guys okay with it or not?
It's a big, so far so good.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I was talking about then the inheritance. And inheritance, I have just explained how things are. Okay, so let's quickly move on to the next part of this. Okay, I would what is not possible in Java as of yet, whatever we have learned. Whatever we have learned so far with that, this bottom part is not possible. Whatever I have mentioned so far with that, this bottom part is not possible. What do you mean by that? I cannot say that one single class like class C is extending to class A and class B. I cannot do that. It's called multiple inheritance. That is not possible with whatever we have learned so far. Maybe it is possible later on when we talk about something called as interface in Java, but right now, no. Okay, and then also this hybrid structure, you can see class D is extending to class B and class C, and class B and C is extending to class A. This structure is also not possible because this bottom section itself is not possible. The top section is possible, but the bottom section is not possible, right? This bottom section is not possible because this is exactly same as what I am showing here in the multiple, right? This is not possible. However, the top section, it is possible. True. So these two sections are not possible. That is something we will see later on when we talk about interface. Okay, so that is that. And let me quickly then go to our next class, which is okay. What is there in class 9? We have things like constructor, polymorphism, method overloading, runtime polymorphism. By the way, I didn't talk about protected keyword yet. Okay, after I complete the inheritance, I should have spoken about protected keyword. I'll talk about that in a minute. Before that, I will take a quick 5 minutes break and then I will start. So it is now 11:44. We will exactly start at 11:50. All right, just take 5-6 minute break and then I'll come back and start the class. Thank you, guys. Okay, so what are we talking about? We're talking about, we will be talking about protected, all right? I have spoken about inheritance. Now I will be talking about protected. So there is something that you have to understand in terms of protected. Okay, by the way, just to see this, because set max speed was a part of OD class, set max speed is not accessed via Mazda object, because obviously it was a part of OD class. So when I created the object of OD, I was able to access it, but not for this situation. Okay, that's that. So I removed it. That's good. Now I'm talking about protected. There is a when I explained the default, what did I do? I said that I have this location variable, which is a default variable. And in the test switch, when I was trying to access it like this, I was allowed to access because both these this class and this class, they are both Okay, this class and this class, they're both residing inside the same package, so I was able to access it. If I take them from this package to the second package, then I will not be able to access it and I will get an error. I told you that, right? That is the problem with the default. So in default, things should be in the same package. That's number one. Second thing is, with respect to protected, things are a little different. How? So I'm just saying car. In the car, I'm saying protected. So you see, I'm not using private. I'm using protected string location, the location of the car. I can have this property here, right? And this one, I want to add a getter and setter. So public edit source getters and setters for location variable, which is perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine, right? Now, what am I doing is this variable that is protected. I am trying to, okay, let me do one thing. Because they are protected, right? They can be accessed via the child class. They can be accessed via the child class. So what I will be doing is I will be simply removing these two variables, these two methods. Protected guys are accessible by the child class. So which means in the OD, I'm going to create a method. The method is going to be public void set OD location, and I give the location over here as string location, okay? Location, and then I do something. I say, because location is not private, I can access location like this. I can say location, or is LOC. I'll say location like this. You see, location variable from my car class, location equals LOC. Can I do it? I can do it. Set OD location, I can do that. Similarly, I can copy this piece and I can say Mazda, set Mazda location, Mazda location, right? I did that. Now, if I go back to my test cars, okay, I'm saying OD dot set location, OD location, which is Dublin, and Mazda dot set location equals UK, something like that. Now what I will do is, both of these class, OD class and Mazda class, both of them, I'm going to take them, move them to another package. Mazda as well to another package. Okay, I did that. I moved them to another package. Audi is still able to access location. Mazda is still able to access location. Why? Because you see, the car class and the sub classes, they are in a relationship. They are in an inheritance relationship. What does that mean? It means it doesn't matter where your parent class is residing and where your child class is residing. If there is a parent-child relationship, and if there is a variable or a class member with protected, right, they can be accessed from anywhere. The packages are different. If I just simply convert them this car guy, right? If I just take that out, if I simply change the location access specifier of the location variable to default, and I save it, immediately I will get an error here and here. Why? Because of the old rule I said. That is, from where I'm accessing the variable and from where it is getting accessed, they should be in the same package. Because they're not in the same package, now I am getting the problem. Car location is not visible. That is the difference between default and protected. In default, they has to be in the same package. In protected, when there is a parent-child relationship, even if you're moving them apart in different packages, if there is a parent-child relationship, they will still be accessible. And that is the difference between protected and default. A very, very important interview question that you should be prepared to answer. These are fundamentals. These are fundamentals, guys. Put as much of time you can on this. Whatever I'm teaching you, those are perfectly fine, but try to learn even beyond that. Try to put some more effort. Try to look for some more blogs and try to see a different way to explain whatever I'm explaining. But they are absolutely crucial. Okay, so if I just change it back to protected again, then the error will be gone, just like that. Okay, this is the difference between protected and default. Okay, now that we understand the inheritance properly, now let us try to go and figure out a few more advanced stuff. What are constructors? Method overloading polymorphism or polymorphism, method overriding, runtime polymorphism, creating a simple framework. I also want to check one more thing because we have less time right now. So 8, 9, 10. Let me see what I have in class 10. I'm talking about web driver strategies, XPath, relative XPath. Yeah, these are a little bit going to take some time. No problem. Let me go back to class 9. Okay. What is constructor? Okay. Constructor is nothing but a mechanism using which you are allowed to create different initial states of your object. Different initial states of your object. Okay, what do I mean by that? I'm going back to the same program, whatever I have written right now, the car program. Just assume the fact that there is no, just assume that. I'm saying I have, or you know what, I will quickly remove this line, because if I don't, then it will create some problem. Or maybe I can keep it. Yeah, I can keep it. Let's not bother. So I have this car class, totally fine. What is constructor? Constructor helps me to create object of a class with some initial state for it. How do I mean by that? So for example, this car class that I have, I can create a constructor for it like this. I can say public car. The constructors will be always named after the class name. If the class name is car, the constructor name will be also car. By default, every Java class is having a invisible constructor. What do I mean by that? If you remember, I'll put a breakpoint here, sys out. If you remember, when I'm creating, so for example, let me just comment out everything up here. Okay, and I say car equals new car. This is how we are creating an instance of any class, correct? Or object of any class. Whenever I'm saying this, car equals new car, you will notice that there is this empty brackets. What are these empty brackets for? These empty brackets are actually trying to point to calling an empty constructor. Calling an empty constructor, or I can say, just say empty constructor, that's better. Calling an empty constructor. Empty constructor means a constructor that has no parameter to it and that has no implementation to it. It's an empty constructor. What do I mean by that? Whatever classes I'm creating in Java, they all have a hidden constructor attached to it, which we don't see. Even if I don't add this information, a constructor information, even if I don't add it, still in the background there is he understands the meaning of an empty bracket. I can prove that to you by adding a constructor over here, exactly the same format with an empty bracket, and I put a breakpoint line number 6. I'll put a breakpoint line number 6 because right now in this empty constructor it is not empty anymore because I have added a simple line of code, where I'm trying to put my breakpoint. Okay. Now with that, if I am right now trying to start my scenario, test cars, if I'm just trying to start my scenario, so debug as test cars, sorry, debug as Java application. If I do that, I am landing into the car class empty constructor. What does it mean? It means that an empty constructor is getting called even if I have this or I don't have it. The question is, what is constructor needed for? The constructor is needed so that you can create some empty or you can create some initial state of your class. How do I mean by that? So for example, if you look at all these variables that I have here, if you look at this all variables that I have here, for example, if I am simply, okay, let me just put the breakpoint here. Okay, anyways, I'll put a breakpoint here, right? If I'm running this class like this way, I will land into the car class, totally fine. At this position, if I am hovering my mouse on top of brand, the value is null, the model is null, engine is null, engine is 0.0, string is null. So everything is set by some default value that Java is specifying, everything, correct? But these values are absolutely has no use to me. What if you want to create an object of car and the constructor and the variables or the data members will have some default value already there? What if you want to create some situation like that? So with that in mind, you can do something like this. You can say this dot brand. I'll say what is this? This dot brand equals no brand because I don't have any brand right now. So no brand. This dot model equals no model. No model. This dot engine equals 0.0. That is anyway, that's the value, and this dot look. No location, right? So what am I doing with this? What am I doing with this is that this particular keyword is basically pointing out that whenever I'm creating an object saying car equals new car, whenever I'm creating an object of car, and I'm saying I'm creating this object called car, right? So for this particular car instance, understand this language properly. For this particular car instance, how do we know where to use constructor? In every case, Susan, in any case where you have the motive to give some initial values to your class members or the data members of your class, you will be using constructor. Constructor is helping you to create some initial state for your car.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So now I say this is my default guy. So when I'm saying this keyword, it means for this particular instance of car, I'm trying to point to the variable brand. So this dot brand means the brand variable of this car instance, or if it's a new car instance like this, car Audi equals new car. Even in that case, when it runs this dot brand, so it is for the Audi instance, this particular variable is being pointed out. So in this instance, you're trying to set the value as no brand, because in this way, it is an empty constructor right now. This is an empty constructor right now, and in this way, I will be setting up the values.
But I can use the.
So now,
sorry, but I can use the inheritance as well, no?
Inheritance for what?
So if I want to set some values, I mean, like
you can. There are different ways to do things. I will come to it. I'll show you what I mean by that. Just
okay.
give me a few minutes, okay? Now, I have this guy, perfect. But this empty construct that I've created, it is of really no use to me, right? Who wants to create empty constructor, right? Like this, with the information like no brand, no model, no location, 0.0. Who wants to do that? Let's not do it like this. Let's try to create a proper constructor, which is public car. You see, I can create one more constructor there as well. But this time the constructor will be parameterized constructor. So I'll say string brand double engine and string model double engine and string location. Perfectly fine. I created all that inside the constructor. That's good. Now what I will do is I will take out all my set methods. I'm taking out all my set methods from here. All gone. All my set methods are gone. And then I'm going to write exactly what I've written here. And I say brand, this dot brand equals brand. This dot engine equals engine. And this dot location equals location. Right? and I don't even bother to then keep this guy here. I don't bother to keep this guy here because it is of no use to me. Okay, I did that. Now, let me quickly go back to my code. As soon as I go back to my code, I'm facing some problems. Let's try to understand the problems one by one. The first problem is in the test cars package. What does it say? It says car equals new car. It is not even accepting it anymore. It's saying the car empty constructor is undefined. Now that I have created a parameterized constructor, now that I've created a parameterized constructor in the car class, the empty constructor is not going to be even accepted, and it is actually good. Why it is good? Because, for example, you are creating a class called car and you're giving this to some of your users. The user will always have to make sure that they can instantiate the car object only by providing right amount of information. You don't want them to create a car constructor with no data in it. You don't want that. If you don't want that, then you will simply create a car constructor like the way I did, and you will remove the empty constructor that I was playing with. You will remove that. And if you do that, then your test will directly say that this guy is not even considered anymore. So now what do you do? Now what you do is you go ahead and you say that I will be passing on right information 2.2 and location is UK. So I say I'm trying to create an Audi object, and this is of car. This is of Audi. This is of model is A3, and so on and so forth. And you got them here, and then you say Audi sysout Audi dot get brand. I don't need a set at all. So I just have get brand, get model, blah blah blah, and I have the option to access them. So what does it mean? It means that with the help of my constructor now, so as I said, constructing. If you remember when I was talking about the heap memory, I was saying that you can create different objects, right? Like the one that I created right now, an Audi object or a Mercedes object, whatever it is. And every object will be different than each other because they will have some initial state. So this is an Audi. This is an Audi. This is an Audi. That's a Mazda. Right? So whatever I have in here, then will have what? Will have their own initial state. And you're creating the initial state for each and every object when you're creating the object. And that is what constructor helps you with. It can create an initial state of the object. Am I all clear with constructor? Because constructor is the fundamentals, absolutely fundamentals. Are we all clear with this? Yes, no?
I ask a question, Suvik.
Yeah, go on.
So you've the constructor set in your super class there in the car class. So if you had, say, a subclass Mazda, does that have to have the same constructor as the super class?
Exactly. And that's the reason. I was just coming to that. And that's the reason why you just see that in my classes, Audi and Mazda, it is showing an error straight on my face that implicit super constructor card is undefined for default constructor. You must define an explicit constructor like this. That's it. You see? So which means now I will have to, so something like this, right? So I will have to call the superclass constructor from the subclass constructor. You see, I'm calling with the superclass constructor with the super method. And then here I'm passing brand, model, engine, location. And those are the informations which I am accessing from my Mazda constructor. So now I am not going to create an object of car class anymore. I'm going to create an object of Mazda class, which will internally set the information to the superclass constructor, then to the all these variables inside it, and then I can call get brand blah blah blah, and I get my information out of it. And the same thing is absolutely applicable for Audi as well. So I just say yes, I want to do that, add constructor for Audi, and it did that job as well. So now that I have everything ready, I can go back to my test cars. I hope everybody got the question, right? The question was, if I have a constructor in the superclass, then should I have it a similar information in the subclass, because there is a parent chat? It will show you straight on your face that it is expecting a constructor in the subclass, and I added that. And now you will not even bother to create an Audi object, I mean car object named Audi. Whether you can directly create an object of Audi, and that's it. That will be then your setting for Audi. Am I making sense with it? Yes, no? Everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that's with that. Now that we understand it, now that we understand this, I'm going to quickly go and see what we have in the next. We have something called as method overloading. I will not write any program here. I will quickly go through it. What is method overloading? Is very simple. It's called method overloading, or even polymorphism. What is it exactly is that? Polymorphism means many forms. Many forms. So what does it mean? So for example, I can keep, you can see that very well here, that I can keep the name of the method as sum everywhere, the same sum, right? However, the sum over here and the sum over here and the sum over here, they are performing different operation. For example, this sum is there to add two numbers. So I'm expecting, so I'm just sending two different parameters over here, x and y, and I'm simply adding them, x plus y. Fine. And here I have overloaded method. So it's called overloading. Same name of the method, but the parameters will be different. Okay. Number of parameters, and there are three things that needs to be different. I have mentioned this in the video. Please go and look into it. Number of parameters. Number is let me just go right. Number of parameters. Number of params. 2, type of params. 3, the order of params. I have explained this in the video. Look into it. Okay, that this will clear your doubt. So ideally, what I'm trying to say here is that you see, I have double, two doubles, and this is allowed. I can keep this sum along with other sums, right? Here it is integer, it is allowed. Here I have 3 integers, it is allowed. And also there is a very weird thing. For example, if you have something like this, if you say sum of, you want to sum int a comma double b, okay, this is allowed with sum of double b. Just try this out, you will see what I'm saying. Double b and int a. You understand? All I did was, or maybe I can say double a and int b, right? All I did was I just interchanged the location of these two variables. It can just do the same calculation within it, within the method. It will probably have the same calculation, but here all am I doing is I'm just interchanging the location of these two parameters, and that is allowed in Java. I don't know why it is like that, but it is like that. Okay, the order is also important. Okay, so that is basically method overloading. That means keeping the same method name, the implementation will be different depending on all these three structures. That's method overloading. Very simple to understand. Look into the video. If you have a problem, you can let me know. Next, we're talking about overriding. What does it mean? Overriding means that you have a parent class. In the parent class, I have a method called show. Perfectly fine. In the child class, child is extending to parent, and the child can consume the show method as it is, which means if I'm just creating an object of child in this particular setup, for example, if I don't have this, just assume that this portion is not even there. Just assume that this portion is not even there. I have this particular setup. And right now, if I just go ahead and if I create an object of child C equals new child, if I just do like this, and if I just say c.show, if I just do this, right, what will be my output? My output will be obviously parents show, obviously, because you know that this show method is being pulled from the parent class. Totally fine. With the overriding, things are different. Why? Because now if I just go ahead and clear my drawings, and here what I'm saying is I have my own version of show method. I can do that. If I can do that, I can do that by making one thing sure, that is all my parameters, the whole signature of the method, the return type of the method, the signature of the method should be exactly same as what I have in my parent class. Exactly same. The parameters, the return type, everything should be same. If it is like that in the child class, then you will see that the child class is basically overriding the parent class show method. And with that in nature, now if I just go and say child C equals new child, and I say C dot show, then you will see instead of this being called, this will be called. Yeah, that is basically called as overriding. You're overriding, that is something there in the parent to create your own version of that same method. Okay, for the user who will be actually calling the show method, for them it will be no change, right? They can exactly read the information from the parent class, and they can know that okay, there is a parent class and there is a method called show, and they wouldn't even know, but they will be idly calling the child version of the show method because that method has been overridden. That is the difference between overriding and overloading. Just register this in your mind. Very simple concept, but very frequently asked questions, so keep that in mind easily. All right, next, quickly moving on to the runtime polymorphism. Okay, a very important structure again. What is a runtime polymorphism? Runtime polymorphism is a situation where I am trying to create an object of a class depending on the user input. What do I mean by that? For example, I'll go back to my car. I'll just bring this car, Audi and Mazda, back to the package as well. So I'm in here right now. Let me just remove this guy, or I can keep it, not a problem at all. What exactly I'm trying to say here is that as a part of car, what do I have? In the car, I have brand, blah, 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 get brand, get engine. Okay. And in the Mazda, do I have something at all? I have Mazda location. Okay. In the Audi, I have set max speed. Okay. Get max speed and blah, blah, blah. And okay, here in the car, I can just create two more methods. Public void start. Okay. And I just say sysout, and sysout I say something very important. And what is that? I will say brand plus model is starting. Okay, brand plus model is starting, and then or started. Just say starting, that's better. Starting, and then I have another one called stop, and then I say is stopping. Correct? Start and stopping. Perfectly fine. There's two different methods I have. Good stuff. My motive is that depending on, so runtime polymorphism works in a situation where you ideally want to control what type of object will be created or will be in action depending on the user input. For example, I'm saying my user input is string car name equals Audi. That's my car name. Perfectly fine. Now, depending on my car name, I would like to consider whether I want to instantiate the object of Audi, or I want to instantiate the object of Mazda or Mercedes or Porsche, whatever it is. That is the situation we're trying to handle here. How can I create that kind of a situation? Depending on my user input, I want to create the object of something dynamically. How can I do it? That is where runtime polymorphism is coming up. So if you understand this structure, we say Audi, class Audi, car. What exactly does that mean? It means that Audi is of type car. Audi is of type car. Make sense? Audi is of type car. And then if I say class Mazda extends car, it's exactly the same thing. Mazda is of type car. So basically you're saying, you're by extending, you're saying that the subclass is of type something. Now with that understanding, I can write my code in a different way. Like what? Like this. I can say car, okay, car auto. I'm just creating an object called car auto equals null. I'm creating the instance name of car as auto. Totally fine. And now I say if car name dot equals what? Audi. If car name is Audi, then I want to say auto equals what? New Audi. How about that? I'm not saying car equals new car, or I'm not even saying Audi equals new Audi. I'm not saying that. I'm saying car auto equals new Audi. How can I say that? I can say that because Audi is of type car, and then I just provide my information here, which is the brand Audi, the model A3, the engine 2.2, and the location Dublin. Okay, that's how I have instantiated. Now, what is the benefit of it? I'll show you the benefit in a minute. I say else if car name equals Mazda, then I say the same piece, but not for Audi, but for Mazda. And then I say it is Mazda. It is Mazda 6, 2.2, and say Italy. Or maybe Cork. Cork is a location in Ireland, so Cork. Perfect. Depending on my user input, objects. I am dynamically creating my objects depending on my user input. That's okay, Nashwa, thank you. Now that I have understood this, then what can I do? I can go ahead and I can say auto, look at this now. I can say auto dot, okay, get brand, or just let me try to say sysout. I say auto dot get brand plus auto dot get model You get the point. The point is you're not going to write for different objects. No, depending on the user input, you're going to create dynamically the respective object, and then that object will automatically call things depending on whatever the constructor was called, right? Now it was Audi in this case. Now if I just go ahead and run this piece, then you know the result will be obviously for Audi A3. If I change it to Mazda, then it will be for Mazda, correct? So which means what? Which means depending on your user input, you're creating different objects, different instances, and then accordingly, you will have to just write one line of code or one piece of code, which will be then working depending on whatever constructor was created, right? This is called as runtime polymorphism. Am I clear with this? Yes, no? Am I clear with this? Okay. So that is that then. Okay, very good. So guys, I think I don't have time to go over the XPath right now because XPath is something which is very important and it takes time to ideally run through the whole concept, because in XPath I have things like class 10, right? In here I have things like what is XPath, absolute XPath, finding web element. Like this part will take some time, and just not that, in the next week class that I will be enabling for you, which is in here 11, 12, 13. In here, right, I have spoken in details about XPath, which I'm going to open up for you guys. Okay, which are very, very important things. So I'm going to enable you with this part, obviously. But next week when I start the class, I will start it with XPath, and I will explain the absolute XPath, relative XPath, and everything one more time, and then go through all these topics as well. So by the way, just want to make you guys aware that next week will be, that is 13th, right? 13th will be the summary class of week 4, ideally, right? Yeah, week 4. I will be enabling week 4 this week, and then from 20th I will be starting with the sessions, which are all, I mean, you haven't probably seen them because you're not having the access, but you can see all 16 weeks of class. It's very, very advanced topics that are being covered in each and every one of them, each and every one of these weeks. Absolutely essential to call yourself as a test automation specialist. So from week 5 onwards, it's going to be a paid session. I will be individually reaching out to you in the Slack channel to understand what's your motive or what's your idea like, right? And then accordingly, I will be inviting the people who are interested to continue from week 5 to week 16 class. So which means that from December, like we are started from November, December, January, February, or think something around February or March timeframe, we will be able to complete all this 16 weeks portion. And that's where, you know, I will be able to get you guys into a job level situation where I can start like creating your CVs and then prepare you for the job interviews, right? So yeah, that's pretty much that I wanted to cover up. I will contact you, each one of you, in the Slack to understand what you want to do beyond 4th week. And I will enable 4th week right now after the class anyways, all right? So that's pretty much that I wanted to cover up today. Thank you, and see you guys next weekend in the same joining link. All right.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Fatima.
Arjun.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Ovi. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Take care. Eric, can you just stay back for a minute, please? Thank you.